YouTube, what's going on? We have a trade alert. Trade alert. Dexter Lawrence was traded for the 10th overall pick to the Cincinnati Bengals, which has prompted me to do a 2-round mock draft. So I am going to try to jump right into it on this fine Sunday morning. All right, let's jump right into it. First overall, you know where everyone pretty much knows where the Raiders are going to go. Fernando Mendoza. At pick number 2, here's where the draft truly starts. I believed early on that they would take David Bailey because he's a more pass rush ready. I have a 3-round mock coming out tomorrow in which I believe I gave him Sonny Styles as a shocker. But I believe they're going to try to go Arvell Reese. He has so much upside. I think Aaron Glenn believes he'll be able to get him in position. Here at the 3rd overall pick, I could see and believe, so here's where I'm going, Jeremiah Love. I just think with what the Cardinals have going on, it's best to try to get the roster set for what you want to go for next year in your quarterback or later on in this month. We'll see how everything goes. Tennessee Titans, could this be Sonny Styles? Could this be Jeremiah Love if he falls? Could this be an offensive lineman? I'm going to go David Bailey since he is here. This could also be Carnell Tate. Tennessee could really go some of anywhere. New York, we're going to go Sonny Styles. They still have the 10th overall pick where they can come back and get a weapon or continue to build up this defense. The 6th overall pick here, I believe the Browns would like to trade out. Let's see who we have that's interested. I can see the Chiefs coming up. You know what? We're going to stay where we're at and give the Browns a weapon. We're going to go Carnell Tate. At pick number 7, with the Commanders, do you want to continue to go edge? Could you go safety? Could you go offensive line? Could you go corner? They do not have a 2nd-round pick. This is a 2-round mock. We're going to look for some teams that could possibly trade up. One of the teams that I think would be a good trade up would be the Minnesota Vikings. Let's look back here. They're down here at 18. Let's see. No, we're going to keep Washington on the clock. They're going to go Reuben Bain. Here, the New Orleans Saints can go a number of places. Things that seem to be shaking up or flying up the draft board here seems to be Jordan Tyson. I don't think they should go this route. I just think with all the injuries that he's had, you already have Chris Olave, who does have and has had concussion issues. I'm going to go Mansour Delane. I'm going to keep the hometown corner in New Orleans. Here, the Kansas City Chiefs, they could also go a number of directions. One thing that I think the Chiefs absolutely need is a replacement for Travis Kelce. Kenyon Sadiq, he's a freak athlete. He can catch the football. You can get him the ball quick. You can space him out as like a 3rd wide receiver, a big slot. You can keep Kelce on the field with him, or he can really give Kelce a break to have him prepared and ready for the playoffs. Here, the Giants are back on the clock because of the Dexter Lawrence trade, and they are going to go Caleb Downs. They're going to continue to build up that defense with 2 Ohio State freaks, two of the best football players in this draft. Here, we have the Miami Dolphins. They are going to want to protect whoever their quarterback is going to be. This is a new regime, so they could go literally a number of places here. They could also use a wide receiver. But if you don't have protection, you have to rebuild this roster. Bringing in a sexy pick right now as a skilled player just doesn't make sense to me. We're going to keep Francis Mauigoa in Miami. The Dallas Cowboys are now on the clock and could go a number of places. A player that I have had sliding past and going down into the teens has been Dylan Thieneman. I think he's versatile enough, he's put on enough, and he's athletic enough to warrant the 12th overall pick to the Cowboys. Now we have on the clock the LA Rams. Not a lot of people are giving them offensive linemen. They do need to protect Matthew Stafford for as long as he's going to be there. You do have the skill positions around him. You do have Puka in a facility. Devontae Adams is up in age. So do you want to give them Mekhi Lemon? Do you want to attempt to trade out of this pick? I'm going to give them Spencer Fano. They need a right tackle. Fano can play that. He can play interior. There's just a few places that this guy can actually go and play. The Baltimore Ravens, I think they could go corner. If you go a player like Jamal McCoy, pair him with Nate Wiggins, you can trade away Marlon Humphrey, who's kind of been on the decline. You do need offensive line help, in my opinion, across the board because Ronnie Stanley stays hurt. I'm going to go Vega Ione, who I honestly believe he may be the first offensive lineman taken. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there's a number of places they can go, but they're going to stop the Jordan Tyson slide. They are going to go Jordan Tyson. They lost Mike Evans. You're going to need a number one, Jordan Tyson. So that kind of puts a wrinkle here in the New York Jets plan, who have gone Arvell Reese. There is a number of places they could go, but look here with Jamar McCoy still being on the board. Some believe he's the best corner. If you look at his 2024 tape, he came back at the pro day, lit it up, and as long as he's healthy, that's a really good pick there. Here, do we want to take Monroe Freeland? Do you want to go on the defensive line for the Lions? They could also use a linebacker. There's a couple of places here that they could actually go. I am going to give them, there's talks of putting Penei Sewell over on the left. Here, if you have Monroe Freeland, who falls into your lap, now you can keep Penei on the right. Where he's been, bringing in Monroe also allows you to possibly bring Decker back and have him there for a season while Monroe Freeland is groomed. We're going to go Monroe Freeland. The Minnesota Vikings could go a number of places here. I am going to give them Mekhi Lemon. There is issues with off the field stuff with Jordan Addison, and he's about to be coming up on a contract. They picked up his 5th-year option. Getting ready to, do you want to have Justin Jefferson making crazy money and Jordan Addison? You're going to have to reset that room when it comes to the cap space. Addison is a player I feel like they can move on from. The Carolina Panthers, they can go a number of directions here, but I think either during the draft or after the draft, Xavier Leggett is going to be traded. I just really believe that. I think Ted McMillan came on and he put on a show last year. He showed that he's really, truly the number one. Now they want to get them a run after the catch type of wide receiver. I could see it being KC Concepcion. I could see it being Chris Bell or Jeremy Bernard in the 2nd round, but I'm going to give them Omar Cooper. I think he is almost like a running back with when he gets the football in his hands, but he is able to make the clutch catch like we saw against Penn State. The Dallas Cowboys, who have gone Dylan Thieneman, now where do they want to go? Do they want to stay in that secondary? I believe they do. They do not have a 2nd-round pick. They could possibly trade out of this pick here as well. I am going to go with Avion Terrell, the corner out of Clemson. Now Dallas has retooled that defensive backfield. They already went into the front 7 early on with the trades and stuff. You still have Overshown. They don't have a 2nd, but they do have a 3rd, so they can finagle some things around there. But Terrell and Thieneman are going to help rebuild that secondary. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers on the clock. I'm not giving Pittsburgh a quarterback in the 1st round. I don't think that Ty Simpson is a 1st-round worthy quarterback. I don't think he has the experience. I think eventually he can develop, but I think he does need to develop. And I think when you have the first round quarterbacks, a lot of times they're thrust into starting, which does not bode well for them. I'm going to give the Pittsburgh Steelers Caden Proctor, the offensive lineman out of Alabama. Broderick Jones is coming off a knee injury. He may not even play this season due to it being late. You're going to need to retool that offensive line, and it's expected that Aaron Rodgers wants to come back. Yeah, Cam Hayward making his pitch for him and whatnot. So let's see, the LA Chargers. There's a number of places here that they can honestly go. This could be a team that I could see for Caden Proctor as well, because there's a player who can play guard early on and play tackle. This team with the Chargers, their tackles were the issue only because they kept getting hurt. That's their only issue. This team here could also be trade. This could be a prime trade area. I honestly thought this was a team that could trade for Dexter Lawrence. This could possibly be a team that could possibly trade for A.J. Brown, because they have the cap space to truly make a difference when it comes to their wide receiver room. But you have Khalil Mack, who is on a one-year deal, who is up there in age. You want to get better at that position. You're going to have to get younger and get somebody that Khalil can mentor. I think a player like T.J. Parker would be nice for the Chargers. Here for the Philadelphia Eagles, we are going to go. They can go a number of directions as well, but I think the main thing is their interior. They are going to have to block. They're going to have to be able to run the football. All this commotion that's coming out now about Jalen Hurts, who has been to the Super Bowl twice and outperformed Patrick Mahomes in both of them, is crazy to me, because I think all he does is win. And I think a lot of times he takes the ego out of it regarding if he has to throw the ball, cool. If he has to run the ball, cool. If he has to hand the ball off, cool. But we are going to give them Blake Miller. He's going to be the succession plan for Lane Johnson. Here we have the Cleveland Browns, who've already taken Carnell Tate, who can now go a number of directions as well. I believe they should trade Myles Garrett, and I don't think I'm going to do any trades now. I'm already into the 24th pick. Let's see. There's a number of places they could go. They could double dip down, honestly, at the offensive skill position with wide receiver or running back, to be honest with you. But I think here they're going to go. I'm going to give them Max Iyengar, offensive tackle out of Arizona State. They're going to have to rebuild that offensive line completely. They are missing one, maybe two more pieces. Iyengar has a lot of potential. He can come in and be a swing tackle early. The Chicago Bears being on the clock now, they have to go defensive front. I think Caden McDonald, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State, not too high for him, in my opinion. He's one of the better run defenders, so this is a really good pick. This is what they needed. They also missed out on being able to trade for Dexter Lawrence. The Buffalo Bills being on the clock, we are going to go Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. He's probably the best player available. They need safety help. This is a good player who will be a nice move piece for them on their defense. Now, the San Francisco 49ers, they need a number of things. Offensive lineman has to be one of them. Do you want to take Caleb Lomu this early? They could also use a tight end. George Kittle is getting up there in age, and he's coming off of an injury. They did bring in Mike Evans. What is the edge defenders looking like? They need help there, only again due to injury. I think I'm going to go Caleb Lomu. This is a good young tackle who can come in. He can play guard early on if needed as well, and eventually take over. But they're going to have Trent Williams groom somebody. The Houston Texans is a team that I thought, again, perfect trade scenario for Dexter Lawrence. But with the Bengals willing to give up the 10th is better than 28th. So now the Texans are on the clock. think they're going to want to go defensive lineman, and I think Peter Woods would be a nice addition to what that front is already capable of. Who do we go? We went with Kenyon Sadiq early on for the Chiefs. Now, who are we going to go here? Could it be a player on that defensive front? Could it be a player like Keldrick Falk? Could it be a player like Caleb Banks to come in and learn under Chris Jones? They need secondary help. I don't think Colton Hood necessarily has to be that piece. We're looking at the safety. I don't think there's a safety here that's worth the pick either. They also could use some wide receiver help. I think a player like Chris Bell. Chris Bell is a player that's coming off of injury. He's someone who can come in. He's getting back healthy, learn, and develop. You still have Rashee Rice there. Chris Bell is a running back when he gets the ball in his hands. He is dynamic. I think that's a good pick. Could be a stretch. It could be a reach. You could actually trade out of this pick and probably pick him up in the second round. But he does have that type of talent and that type of tape. He's not crazy consistent, but when he gets his hands on that football, and Andy Reid will find a way to get him easy catches. We have the Miami Dolphins are on the clock again. They need to just continue to get better on every side of the ball, every position, every level. Could this be Colton Hood? Could this be Brandon Sissy? Could this be Chris Johnson? They need secondary help. Could they wait? Could they trade back? They also need wide receiver help. I think going ahead and continuing to build this offensive line, they're going to go after picking up Francis Mano, they're going to go Chase Besantis, the guard out of Texas A&M. Whoever that quarterback is going to be of the future in Miami, they are going to be protected. They have three or four third-round picks where they'll be able to come in. This is a deep class of wide receivers. They don't have to make the crazy, spectacular pick in with these first two picks. Solidifying that offensive line is a good thing, in my opinion, for the Dolphins, especially when you look at what they have issues is with cap. New England is on the clock. They need a tackle. They can use defensive line help. They can also use linebacker help. They need a right tackle. I don't see a right tackle here in the first. It looks like if they want that to happen, they're going to have to trade up. Could they go wide receiver? Could they go edge? Akeem Mesidor is a player who is right here, but he is a bit older, and for some reason, these teams are just not liking it. But a player like Keldrick Falk, in my opinion, fits the mold of what they want to do in New England perfectly. He can play out wide on that 3-4 front. He can slide in on the 4-4. There's so much that he can do with his size, and he is young and athletic. Perfect pick for Mike Vrabel. The Seattle Seahawks being on the clock again, they could go a number of directions, but they need edge help. You could also lose DeMarcus Lawrence, maybe. I guess he's still mulling retirement after winning the Super Bowl. They're going to go Cassius Howell, edge out of Texas A&M. Now into the second round. How cool. I should be getting done with this before an hour. Arvell Reese, Jamad McCoy. They have really beefed up this defense in that first round. They have 2 second-round picks as well. Let's look at a player like maybe Denzel Boston, a player like Casey Concepcion, a player that I like for the New York Jets, Jeremy Bernard. He is Mr. Do Everything, and he is going to catch the freaking football. Him and Garrett Wilson will be a nice 1-2 punch. Here now is a good pick, a good spot here for the Arizona Cardinals to select their quarterback, Ty Simpson. Pairing him now with a good running attack with James Conner for this year, Jeremiah Love. You still have Trey Benson. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. You have Michael Wilson. You have the tight end. You have things in place now for this young quarterback. The Tennessee Titans, who do they take? David Bailey early on. They could go a number of directions here as well. You're going to have to get a wide receiver. Denzel Boston is someone who's right there. They already have Wandale Robinson, so Casey Concepcion doesn't make sense to me, but a player like Denzel Boston does. Las Vegas, the Raiders are back on the clock. Now, where do they want to go? They're going to want to get their new quarterback either some protection or some more weapons. They could go defensive line. They can go safety here. Let's check out the defensive line. A player like Caleb Banks would be wonderful here for the Raiders. But again, I think they are going to want to give their quarterback a wide receiver, and a player like Casey Concepcion is perfect for dinking and dunking, getting the ball in his hands. A lot of things that they want to do. They still have Brock Bowers, the tight end. They have some nice pieces here. New York, after going Ohio State, they are now going to come right here to the defensive line, and they're going to replace Dexter Lawrence with a player from Texas Tech, Lee Hunter. This is a really, really, really good defensive draft here for the Giants. I really like what they're doing. Houston is back on the clock after going Peter Woods. They can go offensive tackle. They can go center. They can go guard. They're going to go Keelan Rutledge, the guard out of Georgia Tech. Come on now. Here we on the 39th pick, we have the Browns. Who did the Browns go? Carnell Tate, Max Iankur. Where could they go here? Do they want to go quarterback? Do they want to continue to build up this offensive line? Do they want to get a player like Akeem Mesidor and pair him with Myles Garrett? Yes, they do, and that is where they're going. The Kansas City Chiefs are back on the clock after going Kenyon Sadiq and Chris Bell. They need a player in that secondary. They are going to go Colton Hood, corner out of Tennessee. Cincinnati, first time being on the clock after going with the trade for Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to give them Emmanuel Pregnon. No, I'm going to give them a corner. I could see them going offensive line. They should go offensive line, in my opinion, but they're going to go Chris Johnson out of San Diego State. The New Orleans Saints are now on the clock after going with Mansour Delane. A linebacker would be nice here for them. They could also use some more help on that defensive line, especially after not re-signing thus far Cam Jordan. And I think I'm going to give them Malachi Lawrence. This is a good pickup here. He's a player who could possibly go late in the first, early second too. The Miami Dolphins, again, back on the clock after going offensive line. They are now going to dip down into that South Carolina water and get a corner with Brandon Sissy. The Jets back on the clock again. Where could they go here? They lost some of their offensive line. I don't see a lot of people projecting offensive line to them. I like more interior, like a player like Emmanuel Pregnon. But I think after getting rid of Quentin Williams, getting a player like Caleb Banks, who is a massive defensive tackle, putting him up there, putting Arvell Reese behind him, making this team solid on defense first. They got 3 first-round picks next year. They'll address offense then. This team is not winning the Super Bowl this year. Baltimore is on the clock. After going Vega, Iona, they are going to go defensive line. Christian Miller's right here. Matabikwe has had neck issues, could possibly be career ending. He may not even play again this year. They need to be able to stop the run. And Christian Miller is a good run-stopping defensive tackle. Tampa Bay, they went Jordan Tyson early on. They need a linebacker, and C.J. Allen is sitting right there. Why not go get him? The Colts are on the clock. Linebacker, in my opinion. I don't think it needs to be Jacob Rodriguez. I could also see them trading back because this is what they like to do. Chris Ballard makes his money. Like him or not, he makes his money with second-round picks. When you look at Braden Smith, you look at Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., what he's able to do in the second round, he kills it in that second round. A player like Jake Galladay would be great when you look at his size, get it pulled up here. I think he is 6'4", 240. He could be phenomenal. He could be phenomenal in Lou Anarumo's defense. So could Anthony Hill Jr., and I think that's who fits the bill more for what they need. He's a playmaker at that linebacker position. The Atlanta Falcons, they have to go edge. They have to go edge. R. Mason Thomas is going to have to replace James Pierce, who's more than likely going to be his off-field conduct and things are going to really impact what he's able to do on the field if he's able to be and remain on the field. The Minnesota Vikings with Mekhi Lemon here in the second round, they're going to go running back Jadarian Price, the other running back from Notre Dame. The Detroit Lions, where they go Monroe Freeland. Let's go a player like D'Angelo Pons would be nice, I think, for them, but they need a linebacker, and Jacob Rodriguez is sitting right there. Carolina back on the clock. Again, a number of places they could go. This team has really started to hit its speed and hit its stride. Can they continue? Can they continue? Can they continue? And I think a player like Eli Stowers, the tight end out of out of Vanderbilt, really gives them an opportunity to do that. Green Bay needs a lot of things, especially after making the trade that they made for Micah Parsons. They are really depleted in what they have done on this roster. I believe that they need corner. I believe a player like D'Angelo Pons would be a really good player for them, but a lot of people are going to knock him because of his size. A lot of people are going to knock him because they don't think that he'll be able to hold up. He is hella aggressive, but I don't think he would be able to. I think his size is going to knock him, especially for this division and the weather in which they play. Now, a player like Keontae Scott, whole lot better suited for what Green Bay has. The Steelers are going to go to their secondary, and they're going to go A.J. Halsey. I think he would be a perfect fit in Pittsburgh. He just screams Pittsburgh to me. The Eagles went Blake Miller early on. Now they could also go safety. They could also go tight end. They could also go wide receiver. They could also go edge. And I think that's where they're best suited. And they're going to go Danny Dennis Sutton. Edge out of Penn State, was supposed to be the next Michael Parsons. Very, very up and down. But get him in Fangio's scheme. When you look at Jordan Davis, you look at Jalen Carter, he should be able to catch a stride early on as a rookie. The Chargers back on the clock. They needed guard help. Emmanuel Pregnon falls right to them. Jacksonville is on the clock. They're going to go D'Angelo Pons. Keep the Florida kid in Florida. They need secondary help. Pons is a damn good football player. We have the Bears are on the clock. They went Caden McDonald. They have another pick here. In just a few, we are going to give them Zion Young, the edge out of Missouri. Continue to build up that defensive front. That offense is pretty solid. They are going to need some secondary help as well. Who we got? The 49ers. The 49ers have to go wide receiver. It has to be a player that they can get the football to, and that player can do some extreme things with run after the catch. A player like Zachariah Branch would be nice here, but he is a burner, and Brock Purdy does not have that type of arm. You can get him the ball out in space quickly because he's so fast. He can just take a screen pass 60 yards and in a hurry, but I'm going to give them a player like Antonio Williams. I think he fits Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme just a bit more. Zachariah Branch, we're going to take him down here at Houston. Houston has a solid roster. They do have some young wide receivers that they took, but Tank Dell, he has had just terrible injury luck. You want to get more help outside, a player like Zachariah Branch, they traded for David Montgomery, so you're going to want to ground and pound. That should open up the play action pass, which CJ Stroud is really good at. He has digressed since his rookie year. A player like Zachariah Branch hopefully gets him back to what he was as a rookie. The Bears, they have gone defensive line. They need secondary help. Is there a safety currently right now that I could see them taking? Not necessarily. They do need some interior help. Their center retired. They did make the trade for Bradbury. Sam Heck, the center out of Kansas State. The Rams back on the clock. Now, here is a nice place for a player like Bryce Lance. He'll come in and he'll be the slot wide receiver. He has the jets to get deep. You can get him screen passes, and Devontae and Puka have to be covered. So this is going to leave this young kid with a lot of one-on-one opportunities. The Broncos are on the clock. Remember, they traded their first round pick away, and in the return they got Jalen Waddle. They could definitely use a tight end. Max Clare is a good tight end, a good fit. We know what Sean Payton likes to do with his tight ends. I could see them actually trading for Kyle Pitts as well. But here, I didn't do any trades. Max Clare. Patriots back on the clock after going with this crazy piece in Keldrick Falk out of Auburn. They are going to go with Caleb Tierman. Solidify your right side. Will Campbell's going to be on your left side. A lot of people think he's going to play guard. He's not. They're going to go ahead and try to protect Drake May to the best of their ability. And here we have the Seattle Seahawks, who, in my opinion, are going to go running back. A good running back to pair with Zach Charbonnet would be Mike Washington Jr. Let's look at his measurables. He's 6'2". He's 228. He ran 4.33. He runs with power. He runs with speed. He is going to be a good 1-2 punch in Seattle. All right, so that is my 2-round mock draft after the Dexter Lawrence trade. Everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you think your team is going to pick. Let me know who you want your team to pick. And be on the lookout for tomorrow. I have a 3-round mock draft with trades, and I'm going to try to get at least one more out, maybe the day of the first round. Y'all have a good one, man. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.